Is this a poltergeist? So let's see what questions we have only on Paranormal, True or False. It is free to subscribe. Please subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Thank you. What is spooking this dog? This dog is looking into the other room and barking at something and continues to back up as if someone or something is there. Is it seeing a ghost? Is it hearing a ghost in that direction? Is it smelling something that is phantom-like or spirit-like? Is it a mouse in the wall or in the attic? Did the owner place something in that room when the dog wasn't looking and the dog is confused because they didn't see that object before and that's what they're barking at? Is a window open and that's what the dog is hearing or seeing? With animals, there's just so many variables. I'm not sure on this one. Is this a ghost? As we're walking through this yard, all of a sudden the camera will stop and we will suddenly see something walk in front of the camera. But what is it? Is this a ghost walking from right to left? Is it a camera glitch? Is it a hoax, a prank, a CG or video effect? So I've slowed it down a little bit and tried to make it brighter to see if we can see it better, but it's just a pixelized figure. If this was a stationary camera, I would think there was some type of a computer glitch within the camera that doesn't pick up all the pixels, but it doesn't appear to be a stationary camera, and I'm not sure what type of camera they're using. Unfortunately, this is just one of those really grainy footages that everything around it is not in focus. So I'm just wondering if it's a really bad camera and that's a living human being, not a ghost. Due to the poor quality of the footage that we're looking at, I'm going to have to rule this one as inconclusive because we just can't see well enough to determine one way or another if it's real or fake. Is this a troll? As we watch these flowers flopping around in the wind, behind it, it looks like there's a human face staring back at us. The eyes look like they're rolling around and looking in all directions. It's a very creepy head. I'm not sure if this is Halloween and that's a troll looking mask. I don't know if this is a statue, but it looks solid, so it's not transparent. So I'm not convinced it's a ghost, but I'm not sure exactly what it is. Whether it's a living human being, a mask, or something else. Like a statue or a mannequin or something of that nature. Or is it an optical illusion and this is another potted plant behind this first plant? It seems to me like I would be more afraid of this being a living stalker than a ghost or a troll. Is this a ghost that's still sewing on this sewing machine? In the lower left corner, we will start to see the sewing machine start operating on its own. It doesn't appear that anybody is there. Is this a ghost? Is this a malfunction in the machine? Is there a mouse nibbling on that cord? Is this machine capable of running on its own? On a timer? Does this machine use a foot pedal or a knee pedal? Is someone just simply sitting underneath it, pushing on those pedals, and that's what's causing it to operate? Or is someone just using a string and pulling on the lever to get it to operate? We will have 2 more clips for this building, so I'll give my thoughts after I see all the clips. Is this a shadow person? As the camera pans down to the door, it looked like somebody was walking down the hallway past that door. Is that a shadow person? Is it a person? Is this a prank, stage, hoax? Or is this just a person minding their own business and just walking down the hallway? They're not transparent. I can't tell if this is meant to be an abandoned building or just a rundown building. I'm not sure on this one. It's inconclusive for me. Is this a stalker? As the camera points at the front door, we see a man looking through the window of the front door, but then backs off once he sees someone coming down the stairs. I'm not sure why this clip was passed off as paranormal. I'd be more worried about this living human being trying to rob me or having some type of criminal intent, but I don't think it's paranormal whatsoever. But I also don't like those type of doors where someone can see in so clearly. They're pretty, but they come across as dangerous to me. Is this a demonic child? When the camera jumps to the right, we suddenly see what appears to be a child in a costume, but is it a child? It's very creepy. That thing just stands there and stares at the person holding the phone. Then it turns backwards as if it's going to walk out backwards. It just is freaky looking. So, is it a Halloween costume? Is it just some type of a costume? Is this staged? Hoax? Is the kid joking around? Is that a doll? And somebody on the other side of the door is actually just holding it there? I think this is staged because if you saw something that freaky, you would be screaming your head off. And the original sound doesn't have any screaming. I get that some people will freeze, but still, at this stage, adrenaline would kick into your body and you would not be able to hold that phone steady. It would just be shaking and trembling too much. So for a couple of seconds here, I'm using a video effect to show you how jumpy this footage would be with adrenaline. So that's why I think this is just staged and planned, because when we go back to the normal footage, you have much more mild movement with the camera, and that's just you extending your arm out and adjusting your arm to get that little bit of shake there. Um, but no, it would be much more chaotic shaking if you were afraid. Is this wheelchair possessed? As we watch this wheelchair, suddenly it will start moving forward. Is a ghost pushing it? Is this a poltergeist? See how jerky the phone movement is? Because the person's scared? That's adrenaline. Combination of adrenaline and them running to get away from it. So the person is definitely startled by this, or acting like they're startled by this. This is one of those where I can see how you could easily use a string and just pull on this. I wish we could see a better image to see if the brakes are on or if somebody just failed to put the brakes on. But it's also suspicious that that wheelchair is just right out there in the middle of the hallway too. You can see how all that other stuff is pushed up against the wall because they tend to not block any hallways in a hospital. So I could see how it could be real because you're in a hospital setting, but at the same time, I think it's just somebody pulling a string or there's an uneven spot right there in the floor that causes it to roll automatically by itself. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this is a violation of OSHA and the Joint Commission to just have that wheelchair blocking doors and blocking hallways. And at the same time, I could see how a ghost could push that chair too. And the easiest way to prevent this is to put the brakes on. Is this a poltergeist? So we're back in the laundry room, and in the lower center, we start seeing that bag unfold on its own, supposedly. Is this just like one of those bags that has that memory foam in it, so it's going to return to its original shape? Is a ghost or a spirit moving that? Unfortunately, I'm not even sure what it is. Some type of a bag. I know a lot of plastic bags and aluminum bags will, if you crumple them up, they'll try to, if they don't have any resistance, return to their original state. Is there string being used to pull on it? I wish I could see that item better so I could see what type of material that is and how that material works when it's being folded up versus being unfolded. Are they being watched? When we first look at this window, it doesn't look like anything's moving or looking out at them. But then when we look again later, it looks like the blinds have been moved and somebody is trying to look out at them. I believe this is taking place at a schoolyard, and these kids are just wandering around the campus at night, but it appears like there's somebody in that building. And yes, if you're a teacher working late, grading papers or whatever, you may just have a desk light on and not the fluorescent lights on. And you may be in there and suddenly hear these kids outside laughing. So, yeah, you're going to look out the window and see what's going on. So, I'm not convinced this is paranormal. And yes, anytime you have this type of scene, it is going to freak you out a little bit because you would feel like you're being watched. But that doesn't mean it's a ghost watching you. Is this dress form possessed? So we're back in the same building where we had the sewing machine operate on its own. And now we have this dress form that's moving across the room. I did see that this item is on wheels. So it is being rolled from one side of the space to the other side. And on the left-hand side, that looks like a doorway. And right here you can see it's on wheels. I can see how this could be paranormal, but I could also see how I could recreate it. I don't think I would be able to hide really well under the table, but it's possible on this lower left-hand side to maybe hide there and use a string, or if that really is a doorway there, then I could potentially be hiding on the other side of that door. Is this cabinet possessed? As the camera points at this cabinet, suddenly the door on the right-hand side will start to swing open. Is a ghost doing this? Is this cabinet possessed or haunted? Is this house haunted? Apparently, normally they have problems with the drapes being opened, but in this case, they actually captured the cabinet door opening. This is another one of those where I could see how it could be paranormal, but I could also see how I could recreate it by using a string and just sitting out of the frame of the camera. Leave a comment and let me know what you think. Is laundry possessed? Suddenly, the laundry will go from the basket back into the dryer. It doesn't appear like anybody is in the space. How did this happen? Could a small child be in that clothes and just jumped out of it into the dryer? Is it a ghost? Is it a poltergeist? Is it computer graphics? Could a string be used? The shadow that we see going across the room itself, I think there's somebody in a different room causing that shadow. So that sudden shadow that we kind of have, I think that's just somebody else in another room walking by that doorway. Could this be a case of string is being used to pull it out of the dryer and we're looking at reverse footage? This is such a unique footage to me that, it almost makes me want to think that it might be paranormal, but I just feel like it's been staged or faked, but I don't know how they did it. And I would really like your guys' help letting me know what you think on this one, because I really am baffled about it. I don't know what the explanation is on this one, whether it is paranormal or whether it's staged. I just wish I could figure out if it's staged, how did they do it? Would you cut a hole in your dryer to run a string through it so you could pull all that fabric into the dryer using string? And it does look like there's a door behind the dryer. So I can't tell if that's a door behind the dryer or a mirror behind the dryer. I don't know. I wish I could figure out how they did it if they did bake it. Please let me know in the comment section below on this one what you think, because I'm really curious. Is this light bulb possessed? A light bulb will unscrew from the ceiling and shatter on the ground. And we can see right here it's spinning a little bit, but I don't know what caused that to spin. And then we see the results of it just coming off the ceiling and shattering on the ground. I could see a light bulb falling if you don't screw it in correctly, but I don't understand why that dangling part is still swinging around. Is somebody in the attic and that's what caused that? Is this CG? We have two more clips of this same laundry room. I don't believe these clips are being taken on the same day or at the same time. And I have this rule of thumb that if there's too much activity, it's too good to be true. But I can also typically figure out how they do it. And I'm not sure how they're doing a couple of these clips. Is this a haunted laundry room? So this is another clip, but this time we'll have two different cameras that will catch this activity. And it's just this stuff falling from one of the upper shelves. Couple of smaller pieces of fabric and then a larger piece, which could be just simple gravity, I'm not sure. But here's another angle in which we see it falling down, but we don't get to see that full area. We just get to see the results of the stuff falling. Even though we have two different camera angles of this stuff falling, what we don't have is the original movement at the top. We just see the gravity occurring, which is stuff falling, But what happened at the top of this area? This activity is the easiest to replicate, and it's just we don't have to show the original movement and just let gravity do all the work. Is this fabric possessed? So, last clip of this laundry room, the first thing that happens is the whole space starts to get all cloudy, and then that fabric on the door flies off. Is it a ghost? Is it a spirit? Is it haunted? Or is this simply a string and they yanked the fabric off there and that caused it to fall? I have so many mixed feelings on this whole room, but I just feel like it's fake. I just don't know how they did some things. Is this ball possessed? The ball in the lower right hand corner starts to move towards the investigator. The top part of the screen is the investigator with a camera behind him, but the actual activity is this ball that rolls towards him. And it looks to me like that ball is sitting on a step, and that could just be explained by gravity. There could be a window open in that other space, or a vacuum occurred by opening and closing doors or windows. So, not convinced this is paranormal. Is this a shadow person? As we enter this room, we see this waxed figure that is actually a little bit creepy. Her face is a little bit creepy. The way she's holding her hands is a little bit creepy. But on the left-hand side, we see a shadow person in that window frame. So I've zoomed in and slowed the footage down so we can really look at this figure in this window frame. I also froze the image so that we could really get a good look at it, and then it disappears. One of the things that makes her look a little bit creepy is she doesn't have much of a neck. And when we look at this figure, it also looks like it doesn't have much of a neck. So is this one of those odd camera angle reflection things where for whatever reason the IR sensor light is picking her up in the reflection of that glass? So the back of her head is distorted by that hair ribbon. Is that what's causing the distortion of the shadow? Did they finally get close enough to her that the camera was no longer capturing her shadow? The shadow is creepy, but she's creepier to me. What is spooking this dog? The owner is calling the dog to them, but there's something either on the wall or on the floor there that is causing the dog to hesitate to walk towards the owner. They are just absolutely fixated on whatever's happening right there up against that wall. The dog appears to want to obey, but then he starts barking and backing up. What is spooking this dog? Could there be a mouse in the wall there? Is it possible those items that are stacked there in the hallway is stuff that the dog has never seen before? And he's suspicious because there shouldn't be anything there? And that's what's spooking him? Because I know with my cats, anytime I lay something on the floor or in the middle of the room or lay down, they have to slowly come forward and sniff it and investigate it. And they'll even swat at it if they're worried about it attacking them. So I'm just wondering if this dog is kind of having that same type of reaction to the stuff that's on the floor there. Or is it that painting that's on the wall of the red telephone booths that are common in Great Britain? Is that new to that environment? Because it looks like he's kind of looking at that. And is there a human being inside that telephone booth? And that's what's messing with the dog. It does bother me that they're not panning to the right so we can see more of that space to see if there's anything there like a doll, a mask, a clown, something that would spook this dog. Or is there a ghost or a spirit standing right there? We can't see it, but the dog can. Is this a poltergeist? We are back in the sewing machine factory, and the bin in the lower right-hand corner starts moving on its own. Is a poltergeist moving this item? Is a ghost moving this item? Or is someone off camera using a string to move this bin? There's an odd jump cut right here. I don't know why we have such a pronounced jump cut there. Is this an error on the part of the editor? Prior to the jump cut, it looks like it veers to the left. Is that what they tried to stop it from doing? I do think somebody is using a string and just pulling it, and then we have that odd jump cut to boot. Is this another possessed wheelchair? All of a sudden, a wheelchair will roll into frame, but it doesn't look like there's anybody in it. Is there a ghost using that wheelchair? Is there a poltergeist? This is such an easy one to recreate because you could just be on the other side of that wall, out of sight of the camera, and just slowly roll it forward by pushing it. However, why does it look like someone just got out of that chair? It's a very faint image. Is it one of those stationary camera glitches where it's not showing us the person that actually got out of the chair? Is it some type of a CG effect or video effect where they have made that object incredibly transparent by reducing its opacity? So recreating the wheelchair movement, that's an easy thing. But this part here where that thing changes from a whitish color to a grayish color, are they doing some type of masking? Or is this some type of an overlap or overlay type of thing? Can I recreate it using this image? I had to reduce the opacity, brightness, and contrast, increase the saturation, animate it, and do a circle mask. And they could have done even more than what I did. Or it could be a ghost leaving the earth. I have an ethical obligation as a certified fraud examiner to not con you into believing something is real when it has obviously been faked. If you agree or disagree with my analysis, please leave a comment below. You will find links to social media platforms for this channel as well as for Jim Riley in the description below. Be safe and don't investigate alone. If you appreciate this type of analytical analysis, please subscribe. And remember, question everything. Thanks for watching Paranormal, True or False.